Good morning, everybody. It's Barb Katie here. It's really good to see you on a windy Monday morning. We don't have any precipitation, but we do have high winds blowing here, there, and everywhere today. And it's a little blustery and not too cold. I think the cold weather is supposed to come in a little bit later this week, but for right now, we are in Windy City, West Virginia. It's good to see all of you today. I hope you're doing well. And I had something all prepared that I was going to talk to you about. Um, and then I got a message on Facebook, and it brought back a flood of memories, memories that are all mixed up and generated a lot of emotions, which is something I think this time of the year tends to do anyway, because we tend to recall seasons past and the way they were celebrated and the family and friends that are no longer with us. And such was the case today. So while I'm still going to discuss some of the things, this really popped me up the side of the head and reminded me that external influences often influence, they don't have to compel or determine internal decisions that we make about ourselves every day. And this Facebook message was talking about diminishing capacity of some of the people that we know and love. And I think most of you have had that experience at one time or another. And what it recalled for me was my father-in-law, who was probably the sweetest man I have ever known in my life. And we were so blessed to have him in our life when this terrible disease began to impact the quality of his. He was kind, he was gentle, he was caring, he was loving. My three boys, his grandsons, adored him. I adored him. The only flaw he ever manifested was cheating at pinochle. And he loved to cheat at pinochle, and he loved to laugh when he did it, and it would beat my sons. And we were, as a family, so blessed to have him in our life. And when this disease began to take him from us a little bit each day, it was hard. It was painful for everyone in the family. And each of us found ways to handle what was going on at this difficult time. You know, his wife was just a stalwart soldier in the way she cared for him through his declining years. My husband, John, was a wonderful son to him, but it was a difficult time for the whole family. And I think you know what I mean. Everybody's got stuff, right? And we all have to deal with it in our own way. And I was very often the one that was designated to taking back and forth to the place where he had to go for treatments, and sometimes to stay for a while. And that was not always the happiest thing to do, simply because he didn't want to go. And we would sit in the car maybe for an hour and a half, just talking about the need to go and get done what needed to be done. And eventually he would. And what would happen and what triggered this, besides the wonderful memories I share with my whole family of him and are sharing with you now, was how I would handle it. You know, on the outside, I was always calm and collected and did what I needed to do and helped him as best as I could. And once I got him inside and he was getting the help that he needed, I went to food. Yeah, I would go down to the hospital cafeteria and I would eat anything I could find. that was carb loaded. Like Rick said last week, I am a carb person as well, and carbs generate that feeling in me that helps calm me and settle me down. And, that's a physiological fact. It's just not something I think happens. It actually physiologically does happen. And so I would eat every candy bar practically that was in the uh, little, uh, what are those things called? Where you put your money in and you get your candy out, concession, whatever. Anyway, I would stuff myself with that to try to feel better, to try to soothe, to try to calm down. And did it solve any of the problems? No. Did it help me in the long run? No. No, it didn't. But in the moment, it was a way to get through. It was a way to deal with emotions, not a healthy way, not a productive way. And I think during this time of the year, because we all tend to just be full of memories, and sometimes, as we say in my family, my kidneys are right behind my eyeballs, and my tears begin to leak out as a result. It's just is full of poignant, bittersweet memories, as well as making new, happier, more uplifting memories. But I reflect on these, and I would not change anything at all about knowing Stanton and being able to be a part of his life for so long. So basically, as you can see, I'm a little emotional this morning, which happens at this season for me very often. And that's what I wanted to talk with you about is coping with emotional eating. This morning, when that was triggered, I was really proud of myself because I did not run out into the kitchen and eat something. Instead, I thought, oh no, I can handle this. I'll just, I'll take some breaths and we'll get through it together, because I know you all will understand and probably gone through similar things yourself. So there are actually 12 triggers here that I just wanted to mention briefly. And the first one is when you eat under stress. Do any of you do that? As I was getting this thing together, I thought, there are very few times that food doesn't seem often to be my first thought as a go-to, as a coping behavior. And certainly it's the most available. It usually is the most unintrusive of others, but it's not necessarily the most effective or helpful for you. But I am not particularly a person that eats under stress. I am that person that eats after the stress is dealt with. And then, I just let go. For those of us who eat while the stress is going on, this past couple of years has really, really been a challenge, because there's been a lot of stress, disruption, disasters, what have you, throughout the United States that have impacted many of us and our loved ones. And, people are having a hard time. Who wouldn't in a time like this? And hopefully, with the help of some friends, we're not just only seeking comfort in food, but are seeking comfort in each other and helping get strength and courage to get through it. One of the things that a lot of people shared with me that they dealt with when the pandemic first began and everyone was quarantined was boredom. They were bored to be home alone. And it was like, well, what do I do? You can only clean the house so much. You could only clean out so many cupboards. Now, what am I going to do? And so that was a real challenge, because you don't want to say, well, okay, I'll go get something to eat. It gives me pleasure. It's right here. It's available. I'll just get a snack. Are you a bored eater? What could you do instead to alleviate the boredom that you sometimes feel? These are questions. If any of these, trigger something relevant in you, maybe you can give some thought to what can you choose to do besides going to food. Because for many of us, food, as I said at the very beginning, is our first choice as a coping technique. Do you eat to avoid doing something? Are you a procrastination eater, is what I call it. Uh, you say, well, I'll do that after breakfast. So you piddle around and you get breakfast. And then you say, oh, no, I'll wait till after lunch. I'll do it after lunch. Or, oh, it's getting close to dinner. I need to get dinner started. I'll just wait till after dinner. And by the time evening comes, you say to yourself, oh, I don't have time to do that now. You have procrastinated and used food as your excuse for not doing whatever it was that you probably really didn't want to do anyway. What could you do instead? Maybe you could do a different timing, or do a, while this is being prepared, I will do this, which gives you an impetus to get the thing over with and done when you're making your daily plans. Do you eat as a reward? I think I know in my chapter there are a lot of people that tend to do that. I've heard so many times at the meeting as we're weighing in, different ones will share things like, I am going to go out to dinner after weigh-in if I have a loss. Well, wowee, you had a loss, and so now you're going to go out and get something to eat. I'm actually one of the few people that tries to eat breakfast before I go weigh in. My feeling is that way I'm not so ravenously hungry that I want to rush over, get it done, and get out the door and go get something to eat. Instead, I'm relaxed and I've had what I need for breakfast. And once you do it once, if you eat pretty much the same breakfast on weigh-in day, it doesn't show on the scale as an artificial loss or gain, whether you've eaten or not. And if you're counting on not eating the day you weigh in, maybe you need to look at the other 6 days as well. But again, using food as a reward is not breaking the connection that we have in relation to food, about it being such a huge and emotional tie-in to our life. I think some of us, and I know especially with my father-in-law, I used food for distraction and for comfort. It would keep me from thinking about all that he was dealing with and his wife was going through, and my husband and my children, all those things. I would use food to just distract me and think about other things that were more comforting to me at that particular time. It's a type of self-soothing. And for many of us, food, in fact, is very soothing. And it helps to calm anxiety. I think that as we became anxious, because we did not know the certainty of what was going to happen as we were first dealing with COVID and the restrictions that were going to be required, all of us felt anxious. There is anxiousness in not knowing what comes next. If you can map out a plan, then you're pretty much okay. That diminishes anxiety tremendously. But when there's no plan in place and you're not sure how you're going to develop that plan, that level of anxiety goes up. And very many of us, again, use food as a way of coping with that particular emotion. Also, for me, I tend at times to go to a particular food and want to eat that food in huge amounts. It's sort of like a binging episode. I am one that will go to sweet things. Some people go to salty things. Or some people go to very high fat things. Interestingly enough, most people tend to binge on a combination of those things. They binge on salt, sweet, or oily things. I do not know many people in my life that have reported that they have binged on lettuce. I don't know why, but that does not seem to produce the effect chemically that they're looking for when a binge is triggered in them. And binges can be physiologically triggered with a combination of the hormones secreted based on what foods are being eaten. So again, that's something that I think when stress gets high, particularly, I tend to be more susceptible to that. The higher the stress level, the more susceptible to eating large amount of food inappropriately. And then I feel miserable. Physiologically, I pay a toll after the fact. And on reflection, truly no, absolutely, that was not my best choice. Another thing that I have found is, again, all of this seems to be in ways to regulate your emotions without having to bother somebody else. That, you're trying to do this all alone. And food sometimes we use as an emotional regulator. If you're sitting in the waiting room waiting for news and stuff, you'll go looking through your purse. Do I have a little hard candy or something I can suck on to just calm me down? Not a good technique, not a helpful technique, but something we need to be aware of so we can find other ways of coping, other ways that we will go to first before we go to food. And I guess the goal here is to try to figure out if there are things we can actually go to before we reach for something to eat. I think one of the most important things we can do probably is pause. Just stop before you grab. Use a breathing technique. Anything that will delay the choice to go to food for a few moments to allow yourself to settle down a little bit and put the emotion you feel in a better perspective. Breathing has always been one of the most effective tools I've used when I've wanted to change any behavior. Many, many, many years ago, and my goodness gracious, now it's been over 30, I quit smoking. And it was the best decision. Oh, well, almost the best decision, but it was a very positive decision in my life. And one of the most effective techniques I found was breathing. I would just, if I felt the need, I would deliberately take 3 deep breaths. Because what I found out as I was going through that particular change was I used the process, the mechanics of lighting a cigarette to give me a few moments pause to think before I responded to any question. And that was back in the day where you got a lot of phone calls and the phone would ring, and mechanically I would reach for, after I said hello, a cigarette, a lighter, and go through the mechanics of lighting a cigarette. Well, that gave me about 5 seconds to prepare myself for whatever the caller wanted to share with me. Once I realized that, the breathing became a very powerful tool. I did not want to start eating every time the phone rang. I thought that would really not be helpful. But again, I learned that it was a delaying technique that I needed to develop that was much more productive. And it worked very, very well. The pause before reaching, the pause before acting. The other thing that I found that I tended to do, and maybe you can identify with this, after the family all goes to bed at night and are asleep, tucked away in there with their video games, whatever they're doing, I was a secret eater. I would wait. Meal times, I was really righteous. I was on track. You could look, and everybody around me could say, well, Barbara's right on track. She didn't eat a single thing that was not on the plan she had set out for herself, and she's doing really great. But after they went to bed, I would go into the kitchen, look in the fridge, look in the cupboards, and find things to eat secretly. I used to laugh and tell everybody I tried to find quiet food so they wouldn't hear me. Nothing that had a cellophane bag that crinkled or made a lot of noise. Marshmallows were great because they were really, really quiet and they were really full of sugar. You can do such things to yourself. You're just playing head games. It's not helpful at all, but you need to own what you're doing. You need to identify what you're doing in order to be able to change it. If you don't realize you're doing it, then it's probably never going to change. But it is the reality and the awareness that comes with the process that is so helpful to us as we're trying to make changes in our lives. And one of the things that I really found has been most helpful, and it takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes getting to know me, is to have other ways to calm myself and to shift my mood, and to have them handy and available pretty much at any time. That's the reason breathing for me is always a good one, because I always have to breathe, and I always, have my mouth open, it seems, so I can breathe in and out and calm myself with the breathing techniques instead of reaching for something. So what my hope is for all of us as we go through the wonderful happy times during this season, when we go through the more sentimental and melancholy times, we're reflecting on loved ones who are no longer with us, whatever the many emotions that the season is going to generate for all of us, that what we don't do during this holiday season is try to stuff ourselves with enough food to numb the hurt of missing others, that instead we find ways to embrace all the wonderful memories that we share with each other, and share openly with each other about those that are no longer with us. Like I say, this was not the talk I planned to give you today, but grief is a part of the holiday season for many, many of us. And I was reminded that very quickly and very powerfully right before I came online. So I tend to always talk to you from my heart. Thanks for being there, because you've helped me not to eat. Having to share thoughts with you today was a wonderful, wonderful gift I was given. And I thank you for that. And you all have an awesome week. Bye for now.